Thank you so much for coming today. And then I'm Jung-Sil Lee, the curator of this exhibition with the co-curation. Actually, there's a Korean co-curator, Professor Dong-Yeon, and they stayed here only for a week last week, and then they left. So the last Saturday we had a talk for Korean artist who was visiting with her, and then this week, since the Korean diaspora who's living here, local artists, so we are going to have these 3 artists. Of course, there's 6 artists here, but one is passed, and then the other is not living here. One is in Florida, the other one is in New York. So I have this beautiful, wonderful 3 artists. I'm so happy about it. So exhibition title is Écriture with the body. As you know that Écriture is a writing, so writing with the body. So it might be a little bit difficult to understand what it means, but it's about the women's life, their identity, and then the writing, and then how the languages was influences the female's life and identity. So it's about the 18 Korean and Korean American artists. So 2/3 of them is the Korean artists who came from Korea, and then 6 artists are the domestic, the American, Korean diaspora, Korean American artists. They who employ text-based practices to articulate their subjectivity and then challenge entrenched gendered and racial hierarchies, and rooted in traditions historically shaped by patriarchy, such as calligraphy and the literati painting, which is intentionally excluded any kind of a female practices and participations over there. So this exhibition reclaimed these forms through art embodied feminist lenses. And by inscribing the body into text, and then artists create transformative encounters that transcend the page or the canvas, interrogating conventions and forging narratives of empowerment within a lineage long defined by patriarchal structures. Now, why don't we begin with by having each of you briefly introduce yourself from Jean Jinho Kim, but her Korean name is Jean Jinho. It sounds like a totally 2 different person, but same person. Jean Jinho Kim.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jean Kim. I started my artistic journey as a painter, but now I'm working as a multimedia artist with a focus on sculpture. I was drawn by physicality of the sculpture and spatial tension. And also my work explores themes of resilience, transformation, and femininity through sculptural forms that fuse movement with symbolic shape. Working primarily in aluminum, steel, stainless steel, that embody both the strength and clarity, so I can use the structure and express my work. And this material also, create the structure that embody the tension and balance. Also, my work showed in different cities in the United States, and Berlin in Germany, Italy, and Malaysia, and also different cities in Korea. And also, I'm a currently active member of Washington Sculptors Group, and also Hanmi Artists Association.
She just had another opening reception the day before yesterday. And you?
Hi, how are you? My name is Minsun Oh Mun. I began my career as an Oriental painter, but have since explored a range of contemporary media and themes, incorporating traditional genre and media. In 2020, I received the Special Artist Award from the South Korea Art Critics Association. My recent artistic activities include participation in the art forum international exhibition in Hainan, in China in 2024, and collateral damage at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, New York in 2017, and the Minhwa Trunk Show at the Fourier and Secular Gallery of the Smithsonian Asian Art Museum in 2016.
That's it? Okay. Now turn to Hyun Jung Kim.
Hi everyone, my name is Hyun Jung Kim. I'm a sculptor and broadly 3D and an interactive artist. I have asked the ontological question, kind of hard word, who I am, to establish a unique language, drawing on a review of a previous generation revealed studies. This question led to interest about the human being's value and humanity in current society. And I make wearable sculpture, such as crown, for interactive project with the public to remind them of their own value, or panels which have words or sentences related to the subject of the interest. As my visual language, I developed the idea to use the dots and code of the Braille to deliver meaning in language form, but also to create a visually decorative and abstract look.
Well, actually, by the way, all these members except me, the members of Hanmi Artist Association, we just had an exhibition at the American University Museum at the Katjun Art Center this summer with the title of Soaring. We just finished that exhibition all together. So now we are looking at the work of art, and then the exhibition consists of 4 interrelated sub-themes, as you see on the wall text over there. Oh, you didn't see that? Okay, there is a catalog says in very detail there's 4 interrelated sub-themes. The number 1 is reimagining traditional Korean artistic genre. So artists such as Seungmin An, who cannot come, but on your back, for example, there is a letter that you can see, but the genre in itself, we call that is 문자도, is part of folk painting for the common people. But particularly, some of the people incorporate certain letters on that. So the letter, incorporation of a letter, of course, the word itself, a little bit of but it's far from the Confucianistic ethic. Normally, it is supposed to be very Confucianistic ethics over there, but it's contrary to that. And then also it's very decorative, as you know, that there's a lot of decorations on that. So that's the first theme, how these younger artists, the younger generation, incorporate traditional genre. So An Seungmin is one of that, and then the Minsun Oh right next to me is the work on the back. Is again, and she challenged that kind of a work is we call it as genre painting, like an everyday depictions of everyday life, just like a Western art of genre scene. And she challenged the conventional forms of minhwa is folk painting, or 문자도, which is calligraphic painting, and then 풍속화, which is a genre painting. By exposing the patriarchal traditions and reinterpreting them through contemporary feminist and critical lenses, they transform inherited aesthetics into site of resistance and renewals. For example, she incorporated a lot of letters inside of the painting, and she even wrote the poem on that, which is very traditional ways of literati cultures, normally only dominated by patriarchal culture, the male dominated, and she did it. She even wrote the poem on that. So since we have here Minsun, can you explain a little bit more about your painting in relation to traditional genre?
Sure. In my work, the Song of Lavender Clays,
That's a title.
I interpret a Joseon Dynasty genre painting, largely from Kim Hong-do's album of genre paintings around the 70 AD. The scene captures women washing clothes, braiding hair, and caring for children at a communal laundry site, revealing both the labor and silence of women in traditional society. Their gestures embody not mere domestic chores, but the weight of endurance and the quieter language of survivor. In contrast, a man reclines against a rock, fan in hand, a clear symbol of the effortless privilege sustained by women's unseen labor within patriarchal structures.
Or there was definitely no washing machine at the time, so women's job, the woman's chore, bring the laundry at the rivers and streams and using these baths, and maybe that is one of a way of distressing, thinking of someone she wanted to hit. So that's actually widely used and loved, subject matters of laundry scenes, and she appropriate pre-existing work is Kim Hong-do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Kim Hong-do, a very famous the Joseon dynasty, but she kind of edited a lot, putting in the letters, and she changed the colors and did some postmodern ways of maybe pastiches and parodies. And you wrote also span to her work is also the second theme, which is the Korean woman's poetry and then the writings as a site of disturbance and transformation. So some of the artists appropriate pre-existing poems like a 17th century or Joseon or even now. And then you adopt for example, the traditional May center, the shijo, which is poetry form, the shijo, to voice a female self that within the Confucian constraints briefly engage in the labor and pleasure. Can you read the poem you made and insert it into your painting? She made her shijo, the poem, imitating the old forms of shijo.
Their voices rise and drift with the current. Far away, laughter rings with clinking glasses. The woman's song by the river flows with the stream, and the dream of fairness quietly glows in our hearts.
Thank you so much. It's very, very beautiful. It's very beautiful. Since you weren't here the last week when we had a talk with the Korean artist, one of her is a Jean Jinho Kim's work. She talked the last week, and she's a matriarchal figures of Korean feminist art, and then she appropriated a lot of a poem, and the poem by, for example, Hyun Kim. There's a literary scholars in here. You might know that the Hyun Kim her work is nominated in the Nobel Prize along with the Hanga. She's a very, very famous and renowned artist, and it happened to be friend of her. So she appropriated her work into her vanity work, is a ready-made work and located in the Corcoran. So a lot of these female artists appropriate or wrote themselves certain poetry as a means of defiance. So now Jean, your work represents maybe the four subthemes in which artists pay homage to Tersa Hakkyung-cha's dictate. There's a book over there. Oh, I can see the book. Okay, he grabbed the book. Okay, so in what ways do you incorporate verses from the dictate into your sculptural practice here in the back?
Yeah, this is my work. In women's stride, I created the figurative gestures, explore the femininity as a balance of instability, tension, and interdependence. The choreography of fragility and strength reflect the reality of womanhood, such as the negotiation between care and autonomy, grace and exhaustion, expectation and resistance. This also projected above the sculpture is a quote from Teresa Hakkyung-cha's book Dictate, drawn from the section Erotic Love Poetry. Just as Cha's figures move in pauses, and climb the step slowly. The sculpture form enact a deliberate slowness that resists being read as passiveness. Their movement suggests a quiet defiance, a refusal of the speed, efficiency, and imposed aesthetic harmony demanded by dominant narratives.
Okay. Actually, this Ibero poetry was written by the Greek, the poets. And then the dictate book is actually like prose and poetic and illustrative, but sometimes it's empty pages. It's really genre-breaking book. And then, you know, one of our scholars just taught it the last week about this dictate book. A lot of disciplines teaching, incorporating their required book right now. So thank you so much of, you know, the incorporating these poems in her Jean Jinho Kim's beautiful work. But any reason for pink colors in here, choices for your work? Because it isn't anything related to pushy hats, you know, Women's March and the march in every year, which is a visible symbols of solidarity for women's rights.
Yes, the pink in this sculpture is intentionally evocative of femininity, but also has a different layer with complexity. It references the cultural gender norm while subverting them, turning a traditionally soft color into a symbol of strength and resilience. While it resonates with the pink of the Pussy Hat and Women's March as a symbol of solidarity, my use of color pink embodies female experience, vulnerability, and power.
I see. So now the Hyun Jung Kim's work on the left over here, which are often called the wearable sculpture, because we're supposed to wear that, but seem to require the participation of the viewer. And in your series, Blind in Art, My Beauty is the Weapon, it's a very bold title, To Survive, is shown here. The piece were won by yourself, herself, right? And the white in the Contemporary King series, which is shown at the Corcoran, they were won by the viewers. So you also use a Braille, which is a language created for the blind people, to invite the viewers into a direct and physical engagement with your work. So how have you developed these tactile elements in your practice?
Thank you for asking. In my work shown here at Hillyer, about 20 years ago, when I was in my 30s, I began a journey to explore my identity as a woman. So I cast my body and created wearable sculptures, physically placed myself within that space. So I was drawn to the tactile quality of Braille, especially in my piece, Blind Finger, what you see on the left. For that work, I cast my fingers in silver and soldered the words such as beautiful, sexy, gorgeous, just kind of a woman word in Braille using brass ball. So when we read the Braille, we use our fingertip to feel the word. However, since each of my cast finger carries only one word, whatever I touch, I can only read the single word. Through this, I wanted to talk about social prejudice and how women are often defined or limited by certain words. So wearing these fingers, what you see on the pictures, I perform a piece called My Beauty is the Weapon to Survive in Sign Language.
I see. Thank you so much. So there are many interactive the aspects. Interactive art is turned to the new genre, interactive art by now, such as Braille as a tactile language and the participatory process of wearing crowns the work in the Corcoran. So you also use social media whenever the people wear the crown, they're supposed to take a picture, selfie, and then upload it to their Instagram, including hashtags, which is contemporary king. And which have become a common forms of communication today. So can you explain the process and your reason for using social media as a part of your artistic practice?
Sure. So each of my crown has a different words in Braille. I invite the participant to choose their own crown because I believe everyone deserves a unique one. So crown I create a tool to remind us of our own precious work. People try on the crown and take a photo, which we share on the social media with the hashtag contemporary king. So my work is complete only when the viewer's body fills the space and when they become part of the artwork. For me, the most important message of my work is we are all precious, or the I am precious.
That's right.
Yeah. So since the social media is such an effective communication tool and a public domain today, so I use it as another kind of language to share that message or the statement in public way.
I'm so grateful to all the artists who explained today for your work. Although unable to attend today, and Sue Kwak, which is on the back over here, and who reside in the Florida, and create an oil painting, collaging cut out passages from the Bible's creation narrative in the Genesis maybe, and to convey the dignity of the female body. The notion that a woman's body conceives life as a mother is as a sublime, as embracing the microcosm is a well-established feminist perspective, as you might know. And as an immigrant, the use of Korean Bible was significant. And the fact that she sometimes tore the canvas further and encouraged her to explore the languages of biblical verses for healing. So thank you for attending. It's now your turn in Q&A session.